From the All Indiana Podcast Network.
The All Indiana Podcast Network.
This is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now the latest news.
Kylie Conway has all the news you need to know.
And more.
Please stand by.
Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily for Friday, August 7th. Skies mostly clear tonight with below normal overnight temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s, a low of 60. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a warmer afternoon. Comfortable start to the day, and then afternoon temperatures heat up to the mid-80s. Thousands of students will begin migrating to Indiana University's campus on Sunday. The largest university in the state plans to phase in students' move-in days. Students must have a negative COVID test within the last 10 days before moving to campus and then take another test upon arrival. Also, students will be constantly health screened. IU is encouraging students who live in Indiana or its bordering states to drop off their belongings, leave, and return August 20th. If that's not possible, students will have the option to move in all at once. And if students test positive and can't go home, IU has set aside 563 single dorm rooms for quarantining purposes. Those students will be provided linens and wear scrubs if they need to use the restroom or go outdoors at a scheduled time. IU says they will be doing random strategic tests throughout the year to make sure they catch any on-campus positives. IU says going home shouldn't be a concern as long as students wear masks, follow guidelines, and don't hold large parties. They've all signed forms saying they would follow those rules. Move in, again, it starts Sunday. Students will slowly fill the university each day until the 23rd. There will be no football at Butler University this fall. The Pioneer Football League made the announcement this morning. They say since league schools are spread from coast to coast, that poses travel problems for teams trying to meet local health requirements for COVID-19. Butler's president issued a statement saying, in part, "We recognize that our student athletes will be disappointed, but our highest priority is the health and safety of all of those involved in our athletic programs. Ultimately, the risks of proceeding are simply too high, especially to ensure the safety of our students." Noblesville High School has its first case of coronavirus. A district spokesperson says the person has not attended school but did attend an athletic practice. They say safety protocols were followed and the district was able to quickly contact trace, notifying those with direct exposure, telling them to isolate at home. The spokesperson says a large majority of staff and students were not directly exposed. Our IT Mate has learned an Indiana lawmaker is threatening funding cuts for schools that do virtual learning. That could mean millions for local school districts. A letter was sent to all school districts this week, and it said that if more than 50% of student instruction is done virtually, that the state can cut funding. The letter was sent from Senate Pro Tem Roderick Bray this week. Senator Bray wrote in the letter, state law stipulates that schools will receive 85% of normal foundation funding for any student who receives at least half of his or her instruction virtually. Foundation funding is the money from the state school districts receive, $5,548 per student this year. As of this morning, according to a list from the Indiana Department of Education, there were close to 40 school districts that opted to begin the school year virtually. Dr. Jennifer McCormick, the state superintendent of schools of public instruction, issued a statement that says, "I urge Governor Holcomb to honor the promise he made to Hoosier children to provide sustainable funding to K-12 schools by calling a special session to address this concern. We must do better for our children and families." Governor Holcomb has said repeatedly that school funding would not suffer as a result of the pandemic. Senator Greg Taylor is asking the governor to call legislators back to the State House and fix the problem. Senator Bray's office has said they're preparing a response to the letter, but as of right now, IT Mate has not received that response. Richard Essex talked to several school districts this morning, and they all said if the state does cut their funding, it would mean millions of dollars that cannot be made up elsewhere. Today, state health officials reported 10 new Hoosier COVID-19 deaths. Those deaths happened between July 31st and August 6th. That brings the statewide death toll to 2,821. Another 1,253 people have tested positive, making for more than 72,200 total cases. Doctors are worried that once a COVID-19 vaccine is here, its effect in the U.S. could be hampered by the obesity epidemic. More than 100 million Americans are considered obese, and scientists say previous vaccines for illnesses like influenza, hepatitis B, tetanus, and rabies have been less effective in obese adults than in the general population. Though it is too early to tell, they believe that would likely be the same for the COVID vaccine. In addition, scientists are finding that not only is obesity a risk factor for cardiovascular disease and cancer, but it can also interfere with the body's immune response. That puts obese people at a greater risk of infection, including from the coronavirus.
Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Sue, returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
Today is a day of action for Indiana music venues. The Indiana Independent Venue Alliance is asking for your support to help well-known stages survive the coronavirus pandemic. Supporters can send a letter to Congress for the Save Our Stages and Restart Acts. It's a bill to extend the PPE loan for small businesses. You can also make a donation to the Venue Alliance. It's also selling T-shirts with the phrase "Keep Indy Live." 100% of the money will benefit Indiana venues. National unemployment now sits at 10.2%. That's a slight drop from last month when the number sat at 11.1%. According to the report, 1.8 million jobs were added last month. The report also shows there were notable jobs gains in several industries, including leisure and hospitality. But millions of Americans are still collecting unemployment benefits, and Congress doesn't appear to be close to an agreement on a new stimulus plan. Two of the biggest sticking points are keeping the unemployment enhancement at $600 a week and financial help for states. The White House is still pushing the possibility of President Trump taking executive action on unemployment benefits and eviction protections. It is still unclear if the president can use executive orders on those items. The world's largest food sport event is in Indy this weekend. The Ivy Tech Culinary Center downtown is hosting the World Food Championships final table. The event sees the winners of 10 category challenges face off to become the world food champion and receive a $100,000 grand prize. Last year, more than 450 teams from 11 countries and 42 U.S. states competed to reach this championship. The chefs are being challenged to cook some of Indiana's most iconic dishes. The 9th annual World Food Champion will be crowned on Sunday. The event's being recorded to air on a national TV network later this year. A massive drug bust for IMPD and federal agents, 75 pounds of meth. During an investigation on July 30th, a canine alerted police to drugs, which led to a search warrant and the discovery of 15 pounds of meth. Another search warrant executed the next day at a home on East 80th Street near Keystone led officers to find another 60 pounds of meth, along with $21,000 in cash and cryptocurrency. Police arrested 3 people. Rihanna Ramirez and Sydney Evans are from California, Michelle Hadley from Tennessee. Capital One is facing an $80 million fine after a data breach for failing to create strong risk assessment processes. The government also accuses the company of failing to fix deficiencies in a timely fashion. The U.S. Treasury will be paid the penalty. The bank will be required to give quarterly updates to federal officials regarding the actions it takes following the order. The United Nations counterterrorism chief is reporting a rise in cybercrime during the pandemic. The agency says there was a 350% increase in phishing websites during the first quarter of the year. According to the counterterrorism chief, many of them targeted hospitals and healthcare systems, hindering their response to the pandemic. Hasbro is pulling a Trolls doll from store shelves. It comes after an online petition with more than 270,000 signatures accused the toy of promoting child abuse with an inappropriately placed button. The doll in question is the DreamWorks Trolls World Tour Giggle and Sing Poppy. The button is on her bottom that, when pressed, causes the doll to make sounds. A Hasbro spokeswoman said the feature was designed to react when the doll was seated, but recognizes the placement of the sensor may be perceived as inappropriate. The company will give people a replacement Poppy doll of similar value. NASA is re-examining nicknames for distant objects in outer space. That includes planets, galaxies, and nebula. NASA says the problem is that some of the names are insensitive and even actively harmful. For example, the nickname for one planetary nebula was Eskimo Nebula. NASA won't use that nickname anymore. They're also doing away with the term Siamese Twins Galaxy, used to refer to a pair of spiral galaxies in the Virgo cluster. NASA will apply the same standard to any nicknames that run afoul of what it says its commitment is to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Uber's food delivery service is now the company's biggest source of revenue. Second quarter revenue from Uber Eats was $1.2 billion, double what it was a year ago. At the same time, Uber's ride-sharing service plummeted 67%. Even with the jump from Uber Eats, the company lost $1.8 billion during the second quarter. The company has cut about 6,700 jobs. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is now worth $100 billion. That makes him part of one of the world's most exclusive clubs, as only two other people have bigger fortunes. Those men are Amazon's Jeff Bezos and Microsoft's Bill Gates. Zuckerberg co-founded Facebook from his dorm room at Harvard in 2004. At 36 years old, he's now Facebook's chairman and controlling shareholder in addition to being its CEO. According to Bloomberg Billionaires Index, his biggest asset is still his 13% stake in the company. Zuckerberg crossed the $100 billion milestone after Facebook shares surged on Thursday. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
Check out more podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.
allindianapodcastnetwork.com.